Welcome to the third module of our cybersecurity course. This course is presented to you by TCSC London Academy and the instructor Mr. Isam Ifarud Jain. In this module, we will discuss cybersecurity risk management. We will cover the following topics: definition of risk management, risk assessment, risk management strategies, and risk mitigation. Let's start with the first lesson, in which we will cover definition of risk management. Risk management is defined in CISSP Security-Management Practices as following. Risk management is the act of determining what threats your organization faces, analyzing your vulnerabilities to assess the threat level, and determining how you will deal with the risk. Some of the major parts of risk management include developing the risk management team, identifying threats and vulnerabilities, placing a value on the organization's assets, and determining how you will deal with the risk you uncover. The following definitions are important to know for risk management. Threat, a natural or man-made event that could have some type of negative impact on the organization. Vulnerability, flaw, loophole, oversight, or error that can be exploited to violate system security policy. Controls, mechanisms used to restrain, regulate, or reduce vulnerabilities. Controls can be corrective, detective, preventive, or deterrent. First step starts with understanding the risk. Risk is the potential harm that can arise from a threat exploiting a vulnerability. Think of it as the danger of leaving your digital doors unlocked. As a part of understanding the risk, we need to define the importance, impact, and likelihood of a risk, thus the importance of a well-performed risk assessment. Second, identifying assets. Assets, in the context of cybersecurity, refer to the valuable digital resources that an organization needs to protect from various threats. These resources include a wide range of digital data, systems, and intellectual property that hold significance for an organization's operations, reputation, and overall success. 3. Threat identification. Threat identification involves recognizing potential sources of harm to an organization's digital assets. Threats involves a wide range of malicious actors, events, or circumstances that can exploit vulnerabilities and compromise the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of assets. 4. Vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment involves identifying weaknesses in an organization's digital infrastructure that could be exploited by threats. These weaknesses, also known as vulnerabilities, can range from software bugs to misconfigured systems, creating opportunities for cybercriminals to compromise assets. Since we've already discussed threats in a previous module, in this lesson we will focus on the types of vulnerabilities and the assessment methods. Let's start with the types of vulnerabilities. The first type is software vulnerabilities. Include the following: bugs, coding errors, or design flaws in software applications that could be exploited for unauthorized access or data theft. Second type is configuration weaknesses. Misconfigured settings in systems, networks, or applications that create security gaps. Another type is outdated software. Using outdated software or operating systems that lack security patches exposes systems to known vulnerabilities. Hardware vulnerabilities. Weaknesses or flaws in hardware components, such as processors, memory modules, or peripheral devices, that could be exploited to compromise system integrity or bypass security controls. Human error. Mistakes or oversights made by individuals within an organization that inadvertently expose systems or data to security risks. Examples include improper handling of sensitive information, falling victim to social engineering attacks, or neglecting security best practices. Third-party components. Vulnerabilities introduced through third-party software libraries, frameworks, or services integrated into applications or systems. Exploiting vulnerabilities in third-party components can provide attackers with unauthorized access or control over the target environment. Physical security weaknesses. Flaws or deficiencies in physical security measures, such as inadequate access controls, lack of surveillance, or insufficient protection of hardware devices. Physical security weaknesses can facilitate unauthorized access to sensitive assets or compromise the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. Supply chain vulnerabilities. Risks introduced through the supply chain, including suppliers, vendors, contractors, and partners. Supply chain vulnerabilities can arise from compromised or malicious components, counterfeit products, or insufficient oversight of third-party relationships, posing significant security risks to organizations. Insider threats. Risks posed by individuals within an organization who misuse their access privileges or intentionally engage in malicious activities. Insider threats can result from disgruntled employees, negligent behavior, or unwitting accomplices targeted by external attackers. Zero-day vulnerabilities. Newly discovered vulnerabilities in software or hardware that are not yet publicly known or patched by the vendor. Zero-day vulnerabilities pose a significant risk as they can be exploited by attackers before a patch or mitigation is available, leaving systems and data vulnerable to exploitation. Interoperability issues. Problems arising from the interaction of different systems, applications, or technologies within an organization's IT environment. Interoperability issues can create security vulnerabilities, compatibility challenges, or unexpected behaviors that could be exploited by attackers to compromise system integrity or functionality. Environmental factors. External factors beyond the organization's control that can introduce vulnerabilities or impact security posture. Environmental vulnerabilities may include natural disasters, power outages, geopolitical events, or regulatory changes that affect the organization's ability to protect its assets and maintain operational resilience. Now let's discuss the importance of vulnerability assessment. Some of the most important benefits of a good vulnerability assessment are: risk mitigation. Identifying vulnerabilities allows organizations to prioritize and address weaknesses before they are exploited by threats. Proactive security. Regular assessments enable organizations to adopt a proactive stance against cyber threats, minimizing the attack surface. Reference: the Open Web Application Security Project, OWASP, on vulnerability assessment and management. Decision-making support. Vulnerability assessments provide valuable insights and data to support informed decision-making regarding cybersecurity investments, resource allocation, and risk management strategies. By identifying vulnerabilities and their potential impact, organizations can make data-driven decisions to prioritize mitigation efforts and allocate resources effectively. Enhanced incident response readiness. Vulnerability assessments contribute to enhanced incident response preparedness by identifying weaknesses and potential entry points for attackers. Organizations can use the findings from vulnerability assessments to develop and refine incident response plans, including predefined procedures for addressing known vulnerabilities and responding to security incidents effectively. Continuous improvement. Vulnerability assessments support a culture of continuous improvement by providing feedback on the effectiveness of existing security controls, policies, and procedures. By regularly assessing vulnerabilities and addressing weaknesses, organizations can continuously enhance their security posture, reduce risk exposure, and adapt to evolving threats and challenges. Third-party assurance. Vulnerability assessments provide assurance to customers, partners, and stakeholders that the organization is actively managing and mitigating security risks. Demonstrating a commitment to vulnerability assessment and management can enhance trust, credibility, and reputation with external parties, supporting business relationships and partnerships. Regulatory compliance. Vulnerability assessments help organizations comply with regulatory requirements and industry standards that mandate the protection of sensitive data and systems. By conducting regular vulnerability assessments and addressing identified vulnerabilities, organizations can demonstrate compliance with legal, regulatory, and contractual obligations, avoiding potential fines, penalties, and reputational damage. Last benefit we will cover is cost savings. Vulnerability assessments can result in cost savings by identifying and addressing security weaknesses before they are exploited by attackers. Proactively addressing vulnerabilities helps organizations avoid the potentially significant financial and reputational costs associated with security breaches, data loss, and business disruption. Take a look at this table as an example of risk assessment output. This table contains threat type, threat, exploit or vulnerability, and exposed risk. Of course, a risk assessment is more detailed and contains more elements that we will cover later in another lesson. In the next lesson, we will dive into risk assessment. We will understand why it's important and how crucial it is for an effective cybersecurity strategy. Stay with us to learn more. See you there.